For the past 2 years, I've been working with Lucasfilm, Taschen, and George Lucas in order to make this. Well, not this, but what's inside it. So today I'm going to open it, just received it, and let's see what's inside. Can't believe that came off easy. So, this is the Star Wars Archives by Paul Duncan. That's me, and I want to tell you all about it. So the first thing is to take all this off. Take off the protective plastic. It's got a handle, so you can lift it, and this little tab, undo it, and here it is, the book. Wow, it's really nice and shiny. It's amazing. Didn't think it was going to be that shiny. Okay. More plastic. See, this is like one of those unboxing videos that you see on the internet all the time. So, wow, I mean, I am really surprised. I have never seen it before, and it is really shiny. I don't know whether you can see that, but it's glittering. It's like being in space. Okay, so this book has taken about 2 years to make. So the first thing I think I'll do is to open the book and show you that we're going into hyperspace. Long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Title page and table of contents. So what I want to do is to explain to you, first of all, what's in the book. So the first chapter is, we've got a foreword by George Lucas here. The first chapter is all about George Lucas's early life in film, his filmmaking as a student with Francis Ford Coppola, and then making his first movie, THX 1138, then making his second movie, American Graffiti, and then his first work on Star Wars, or The Star Wars, as it was first known. Got some great images from Colin Cantwell. And then there's a chapter, a very big chapter, on Star Wars, the first film in 1977. A second chapter on The Empire Strikes Back, 1980. So another big chapter. How big a chapter is it? So a lot of pages there. And then another enormous chapter on Return of the Jedi from 83. And then at the back we've got appendices, and we start in the appendices. We've got Star Wars Holiday Special, Ewok Adventure, the Ewoks animation, Droids animation, and Ewoks Battle for Endor. Then at the back, beyond that, we've got an index, bibliography, and thanks. And we hyperspace back out. All right. So that's the back of the book. All right. So that's the table of contents of the book. So now I want to show when I started on the book, on the research. I really didn't have any idea what I was going to do, how I was going to handle the book, what the content of the book was going to be, because there have been so many great books on Star Wars and the making of the films before. So as I was going through the archives, looking through all the production documents, etc., I had to find the story. I had to find out how to present it. So what I'll do is I'll quickly show you how I decided to present the images. So I decided that the story of the images going through the book would be presented in plot order, as you would see the movie. So we would open with the crawl, the opening crawl. So here is an early script page that George Lucas did. This is for the second draft, and this shows the opening crawl for that. Then this was an opening crawl that was filmed, and here you see Richard Edlund filming that. So you start with the crawl, and then as we go through the book, each time a new design element is added or a new character is added, I wanted to show the images of how that was developed before we carry on with the story. So in this case, it's the Rebel Blockade Runner. So this actually started out as the first pirate ship that Han Solo would fly around in, but then it was reused and remade later on in order to become the Rebel Blockade Runner. So here we'll have some ideas for these designs and what it was originally going to look like, and then the actual building of that. And then we come on to the Star Destroyer. This is Colin Cantwell's original prototype, and we see here the storyboard, the actual model being made, the model being filmed, and the final frame. So, as I was doing the research, there's lots of interesting information. Like, for example, this prototype, there are lots of aerials, etc., on there, which are very difficult to matte in order to do the special effects. So Joe Johnston redesigned all these elements in order to make it blocky, so that it's easier to matte, so that it's got straight lines. And so that's basically how it's done. A new character is introduced, C-3PO. This is the development of C-3PO from design to actually making it and fitting it on Anthony Daniels. And the same for R2-D2. The Stormtroopers. And then the actual scene in the movie where you see that happening. I've also included scenes that were not used in the final movie, like this scene. Originally, Luke Skywalker was going to look up and see the battle above Tatooine. So, and the design for Darth Vader. So that's how it continues, the introduction of Darth Vader, introduction of Princess Leia, and then the scene that she's in where we first see her. Now, as I was going through all the documents, I would find things like this continuity sheet, which is dated December 22nd, 76, and this shows the order of the scenes. And this is a later one from February the 4th, 1977, and it shows that some of the scenes at the opening of the movie actually switched around as George and the other editors were editing the movie. So you get a sense of the development and of the movie and how it was made, the decisions they were making. So that's essentially how I've ordered all the images in the book. So we see the whole movie, the plot of the movie, and then for each scene you see how that scene was made. So there's just to show you one that I think is interesting. This is the scene in the garage where Luke Skywalker first sees Princess Leia through a hologram from R2-D2. And this is the scene as it would have been filmed with no visual effects. And then this is the final frame that you could see in the movie. So what we have here is a script page that Carrie Fisher would have said in the hologram. So this is her dialogue. This is the anamorphic frame that would have been squashed and has been marked up to show where the hologram was to be. And this is a blueprint for the distance in real life they'd had to film Princess Leia in order to get the correct angles. And then all this information is put together onto this frame. So the whole book is constructed in this way for the whole movie and for all three movies, so that you get a sense of how the movies are made. So I wanted to do something that was slightly different and was informative. So the other aspect of this is the text. The text is an oral history. So as I was going through all these different archives at the Presidio, Lucasfilm, where they have all the photography, and also on Skywalker Ranch, where there's a lot of document archives as well as art archives. I found also a lot of interviews, some previously published, some previously unpublished, and I went through all of these interviews and basically took the elements of the people who were actually there, actually making the movie, their stories and their experiences in making the movie. But I thought, what was the one thing that I hadn't seen before? And that was really George Lucas. I'd never really seen George Lucas explain how he made his movies. And so I thought this was for me, one of the most interesting things. George Lucas, how did you make the movie? The who, what, where, when is very easy to find through all the documents. But the why George did this, why George did that, that was much more difficult to find. And so I was very lucky. I asked if I could interview George in order for him to explain the meaning behind the work that he'd done, why he'd done this, why he'd done that. And he agreed to be interviewed, and I interviewed him for 3 days. And he gave lots of great information about his motivation for doing the movies, really the whole Star Wars saga for him is a moral tale to tell 12-year-olds. He wanted to show that there were selfless people and there were selfish people in the world, and he wanted to show that through the characters. Princess Leia is selfless. She's there to help people and to do whatever she can to fight, if need be, for the good of all. Harrison Ford plays Han Solo, who's selfish. He's only really looking out for himself and for Chewbacca. And Luke, he's undecided. He's young. He's a youth. He's growing up, and he doesn't know how to be in the world, how to live in the world. And so the story is his journey, trying to find his way through the universe, between the light side and the dark side. And obviously the dark side is represented by the Emperor and Darth Vader, and the light side by the Jedis and Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda. So Lucas designed the films in order to show this dilemma, show this story in Luke. So in the first movie, Luke is wearing light colours. In the second movie, in Empire, you'll see that when he's fighting, he's wearing greys. You see here, he's all in grey. And then in Return of the Jedi, you see he's wearing black. So this is a visual design which George had planned right from the very, very beginning, right from the first movie, which you can see in his discussions with Ralph McQuarrie and Joe Johnston, and John Mullen, in order to tell the story of the fight, the tension between the dark side and the light side. And at the end of it all, we have the final confrontation, and the message that George was trying to get across was that when you've got a fight between the light and the dark side, the only way to defeat darkness is through love and compassion, and each of the characters finds that in the story. So this is a little preview of the book. It's called The Star Wars Archives, and I hope if you get to see it that you enjoy it. Thank you.